Greetings, Planeswalkers. Gamesman here. One of my dailies is green and white spells, so I thought I would go over my Enchant to Win deck. It's a green and white deck, primarily based around enchantments. So let's get started in on the cards. I will be adding card lists to my videos. I know I've been asked to add card lists to make it easier for folks to create them. So I've already got some of them done, and of course, this and future videos will have the card list as well. Also, I wanted to tell you guys about a friend who has a Facebook page, a group that does, we'll just call it nerd items, kitchen towels and tote bags with the nerd spin, like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Marvel stuff. So I'll put a link to her page, her Facebook group down below, and you should check out her stuff. She's also got funny memes and shares stuff every single day. It's a good group, and it's called Brandy's Nerd Universe. So check that out as well. All right, on to the deck. Single mana cards. For 1 white, we've got Light the Way. We can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle and untap it, or return a permanent we control to our owner's hands. Paladin class. I've gone over this card multiple times because it's such a good card. Level 1. Our opponent's spells cost 1 more colorless to cast. Level 2. For 2 colorless 1 white creatures we control get +1/+1, and for 5, whenever you attack until the end of turn, a target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. Generous Visitor. This is our first creature. Whenever we cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. This, you start to see the theme here. March of Otherworldly Light. This is a good card. Very versatile. We can exile our opponent's artifacts, creatures, or enchantments with X mana value or less. Into the 2 mana range, Era of Enlightenment, Michiko's Reign of Truth. This is a good card because it gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment we control, and we're going to control a lot in this deck for a creature. Spirited Companion. This is an enchantment creature, plus we get to draw a card when it enters the battlefield. Azusa's Many Journeys. We get to play an extra land, we gain 3 life, and then we have a enchantment creature that when it becomes blocked, untap 3 lands we control. Goshin Tai of Boundless Vigor. Enchantment creature Shrine. Beginning of our end step, may pay 1 colorless, and we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on target shrine for each shrine we control. Kami of Transcendence. Whenever we cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And if an enchantment was put into your graveyard, we can return Kami from our graveyard to our hand. This is the other cornerstone creature for this deck. Orochi Mergekeeper. We're getting mana, and we can put counters on this with many of the cards in this deck, so we're going to be getting 2 mana for that. Roaring Earth. We're putting +1/+1 counters every time land enters the battlefield. Shigeki Jukai Visionary. We can return this card to our hand and get land, or return X target non-legendary cards from our graveyard to our hand. Teachings of the Chiron. Sanit. Enchantment. Mill 3 cards. Create a spirit creature token. +1/+1 counter on creature we control. And then it becomes a Snake Monk that we can exile creatures from a graveyard to create spirit tokens, or non-creature cards from graveyards and put counters. Jukai Naturalist. This gives us cheaper enchantments to cast, so there's 4, and it's lifelink. And then Rite of Harmony. When we cast a creature enchantment spell, we can draw a card when they enter the battlefield. 3 mana, Born to Drive. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, +1/+1 for each creature and or vehicle you control. So this thing can be very large, and it's an enchantment. And we can create colorless pilot creature tokens. Cloudsteel Chiron. Can't lose the game, and opponents can't win the game when it's equipped to a creature. Imperial Recovery Unit. We can bring target creatures or vehicle cards with mana value 2 or less from our graveyard to our hand. Norika Yamazaki the Poet. This is a samurai with vigilance. We can cast target enchantment cards from our graveyard. Fall of Lord Kanda. exile 4 or greater creature, mana that is. Each player gains control of all the permanents they control, and then we have a defender 1/3 that when it dies we can draw a card. Restoration Iganjo. We can find land. We can bring a card from our graveyard, and we get a 3/4 vigilance creature that when it blocks or attacks, we create a spirit token. Touch the Spirit Realm. We can exile stuff. Historian's Wisdom, another enchantment. And if the enchanted permanent is a creature with greatest power among the creatures on the battlefield, we draw a card, as well as +2/+1. Jugon defends the temple. 1/1 green monk creature token that generates mana, more counters, and then enchantment creature, the Dragon Spirit. We can put +1/+1 counters on creatures when we pay as they enter the battlefield, and when they get we get enough of those modified creatures. This creature gets +5/+5 and has trample. That's no joke. Kodama of the West Tree, also a spirit. Reach. Modified creatures we control have trample. We're going to have a lot of modified creatures if it goes well. And whenever they do damage to a player, we can search our library for a land card and put it into the battlefield. Storyweave. Another one of those utility cards. Counters. Lore counters on a saga. And they enter into the battlefield with 2 counters on them. The Dragon Kami Reborn. We can regain life. We look at the top card of our library with hatching counters on them when they're exiled face down. And then when he transforms this thing, we can cast creature spells from among the cards we own in exile without paying their mana cost. Web Spinner Cuff. Artifact creature and equipment spider. We give +1/+4 with reach. Fall of the Imposter. There's counters again, and then we can exile a creature with the greatest power among creatures target opponent controls. Supernatural Rescue Enchantment Aura, another enchantment again. We're a lot of enchantments in this deck because of the mechanics that we have going on. Spell has flash as long as we control a spirit, which we should. Tap 2 target creatures. We can eliminate those blockers, and +1/+2. Hallowed Haunting. If this spell or this card is out, an enchantment, and we start casting more enchantment spells, we are going to generate a crap ton of spirits pretty quickly. And very powerful card. Boseiju reaches skyward. We're looking for forests. We're putting land cards from our graveyard to the top of our library, and then we get what could be a ginormous creature with reach, +1/+1 for each land we control. Alright, Invoke Justice, powerful sorcery. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then distribute 4 +1/+1 counters. Springleaf Avenger, we're bringing stuff back from the graveyard as well. Target permanents. Unnatural Growth, beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control. Here's some the oh crap cards. Farewell. If we're falling behind when it comes to artifacts, creatures, enchantments, we can cast this spell. Obviously, it's very expensive, but we can just wipe the board clean. And then Brilliant Restoration works very well in concert with that card. Return all artifacts and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So imagine the number of enchantment cards that are going to come out when this goes off if our opponent has been hitting us up and taking our cards out. Of course, a variety of lands. Iganjo, Seat of the Empire. Plains. Boseiju Who Endures. Blossoming Sands. Branchloft Pathway. Boulderloft Pathway. I like Roadside Reliquary because you can draw some cards. We're going to have both enchantments and artifacts in this deck, so we'll be drawing cards. And then Uncharted Haven to get the right mana out. So, this is a fun deck. Like I said, it revolves around enchantments. And we've got a lot of graveyard manipulation if our opponent takes out some of these creatures, these foundational creatures like the Kami or the Generous Visitor or Jukai. Some of these other creatures are still useful, obviously, to put all these counters on. And then, of course, we've got these enchantments that are turning into creatures as well. So the deck is fairly fast. It works well. It's a little bit thicker deck at